All right, guys, we're gonna be started here in just a bit. Wait, what happened to audio here? Wait, why? Why? Hold on. Where's the audio? Guys, bear with me. Bear with me here.
I love you.
Hold on.
Wait, is it muted?
Technically this should be working. Yeah, it's unmuted. Hold on, I'm busy. Let me see. What the heck? Oh my gosh, everything was just. Why am I in this person's channel? I don't want to be in here. It's done on purpose. Oh my god, I don't want to be in there either. Hate that. They'd be trying to make you click things. Alright, dude, move. Alright, let's up here. Okay, the sound's on it, but why we not getting no sound from the game?
It's on there.
Oh, while we're doing that, we need to figure out. Um, dude, why is there no game sound? What the heck? Please, can you stop for the life of me? Trying to get this figured out here. Oh god, everything but what I'm trying to do. Technically, we should just be having sound. All right, guys, we're about to get started here. Simba, what's going on, bro? All right, let's see what's going on. All right, let's see what we got next here. Oh boy, shoot, shoot, shoot.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready? Do me a favor. I'm gonna put that Discord hat down there. Had this one on yesterday. We're gonna grab me the. Gonna have to do the Freddy or the Cuphead.
Ready.
All right, yeah, go ahead and grab that for me. What's up, Simba? How are you, bro? Jay, what's up, bro? All right, guys. So we're gonna do a little bit. We're gonna do a short session here. I know we don't have much time. Trix is ready to rage. Don't remind me, bro. Don't remind me. Oh, am I in the level I'm about to rage? Oh my. Oh my god. I just saw my face. Never again. All right. What? Probably towards the front. I know there's so many hats to go through. Jeez, how many hats do I have? Looks like 20. All right, so yeah, it should be towards the front. Right, Jay. Right. Yeah, Simba. Hey, you got the sub status, bro. Just hang out over here, man. Yep, that's it. That's it. Does this match? You guys, does this match? It does. Yeah, it matches perfect, actually. $69 hats? Oh my god. Why are you laughing? Like you know something.
I'm looking at your hats right now.
Okay. I guess. Going to get our gaming glasses on here real quick.
No, 60, what did he say? No, J13 is not 69, it's 100. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Probably 1 million, actually.
All right. Well, the only problem is the main menu is cool, but when we get into the game, guys, some of the songs I can't have played. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and we're going to put it to none. And I can't move because that's just the way life is. Alright, so we're going to go back into the multiplayer and we're going to go back into the 2-player. Wait, you can do more than 2 players? Well, we can only do 2 because... Alright, and then with that being said, we're going to finish off the cooperative bullcrap raging level. Level with Mr. Grim, whatever. He reminds me of somebody. Ooh. I don't know. We were at 55% on this one. Looking good. Thank you, Simba. You should get up to 69 highest and stop right there. I should. You're really right. I can't believe you forgot your Uplay password. Don't remind me. I just got myself locked out because of that. So I got to wait 24 hours. I will probably just change the password tomorrow and then try to claim it. I might already have it, though. I think I already have it. Or that might be Origin. I'm not sure. Whatever one Assassin's Creed was on. Dead Island. Okay, Dead Island. Yeah, guys, I'm telling you. Discord. For suggestions, guys, we got to do this. Dead Island was a game I've been wanting to play. I've been trying to get some sub games on Dead Island. I might even get a team of 4. Preferably, I'd rather have it with the people who never played it. But the game's been out for so long that a lot of people played it. So I think at this point, we're just going to make a stream team. Everybody just be on the same level, and that's it. If someone gets caught playing without the stream team, they're kicked out of the squad. All right, so we're going to go ahead and finish off where we left off with this campaign here, guys. Huh?
You're me.
Me.
Cards.
If we ever get a team of 4, that's true. That is true. We might even have to do 2 players, bro. Because the people I was supposed to play with, they're playing around too much, and I don't have time to keep waiting for them. So, and I think it's sometimes the time frame too. We still got to finish Division, right. Very true. You know I will be down with the stream team. I know you would, Jay. I know you would. You know, and like I said, some other people probably... Oh, yeah, I gotta pick my cars. I'll go with the Kamikaze. Oh, this is the race. Oh, dear God. Oh.
Daddy!
Welcome to the battle race. Another event, another chance for you to fulfill the death wish that you've had since you saw your father's head
What? What?
Since you saw your father die.
Me? Why is my desk always getting dusty? It's driving me crazy. By the way, guys,
Please
these are
be
really
sure
good.
to finish
I want to know
one
because I
of
haven't
the
eaten them
top
yet, but
races to
they look
earn
really
a
good.
little
All right.
Twisted surprise.
Why does the graphics look like that? You see it?
For this event, the happy town of Sun Springs, California will serve as your racetrack.
He's like, yeah, just skip it. All right.
3,
Let's face this cheater again.
2,
Forgot how to play.
1.
See you, Grissom Fairy.
I got her.
Oh, come on. Why did people... Wow. Everybody bumped me off the road.
Missed.
Oh, how did I miss? Wow. Wow. You know, people just bumped my kamikaze guy. I didn't miss, even though I did. I went right through the ball. Look at Sweet Tooth cheating. See, bro. Oh, I'm about to miss it. I didn't miss. I love how Sweet Tooth just run. What the? Oh my god. I'm literally being bounced around. I can't do this. Wow, guys. Really? Come on, fellas. Move it. Move it. I don't even know how I got through there. Yo, is my car driving automatically?
Gate missed.
Man.
Can't. Oh, dude, you're messing me up. Okay.
Missed a gate.
I don't like the driving in this game. Oh, I did miss that one.
Destruct.
Alright, dude, shut up. I knew I will self-destruct if I miss any more of these pose. Not pole person, sorry. I dance without the race. And I totally missed that.
You missed a gate.
Oh my god, I missed it.
Gates, and you will self-destruct.
See, Grimson Fairy is such a freaking cheater.
Gate missed.
And there's too many cars, dude. Like, way too many. Is this normal? How is this normal? Like I'm playing... Dude, move out of my way. Oh my god. Oh my god. What is going on? I'm being thrown all over the place. Okay. Alright. Take cars out one by one. Oh my god. There's too many characters, man. There's way too many. I think Grimson Fairy is one of the main ones to take out. I think everybody... Move. My car is too pouncy. Look at this. Oh my god. Just throw me around the map. I'm used to it already. You guys been doing it, and I just missed the pole. Wow, because whatever. Okay. Forgot how much I hated this level. I don't really know I hate this level. I don't know if I made it quite yet.
Special weapon.
You mofo son of a... Oh my dear. Jeez.
Gate missed.
Oh my god, me thrown around again. What the heck? Stop. No. I hate the driving in this game. Oh my god. Targeted by laughing ghost.
That's Fitzu's thing.
Oh my god, dear gosh. Alright, let's dude, we're not gonna win, bro. Like I can't once Grimson Fairy's in the lead, he stays in the lead. He's a cheater. He cheats. He don't look, he don't care. Oh my god. Oh my god. Move!
Special available.
This map makes no sense. Oh, Sweet Tooth just dipped.
Mega guns. Gate missed. Road boat
Oh, I got Mega Gun. Yes! If I could freaking aim straight. Thank you, thank you.
destroyed. 8
Okay.
opponents left.
Wait, what's at the timer at the bottom? What is that?
That's the person Fury goes gets them.
Oh, I'm back to the regular crappy gun.
You missed a gate. Miss
Oh
one
my gosh.
gate. And you will self-destruct. Special weapon back online.
Oh, of course it is. Once, you know, I pass somebody. Perfect sense. Ah, Warhog! Just
4 more gates, and you will be destroyed. Your health is
wow, Grimson Fairy. Wow! You know what, Grimson? I'm chasing you. And he got full health! What the? Look at Grimson Fairy. Wait, there he is. There he is. I'm just going for him. Dude. There you go. Come on. And of course, I don't have a special. He ain't taking all that damage.
special weapon back online.
Wow. How did he win the race? He went backwards. So I bet you the whole time we just got to take him out. All right, something don't make sense here, guys. What are we doing wrong? Death Race to 2020. This is like Death Race. Yeah, pretty much. I never played that game. What a way to start the stream with anger. Which character are you gonna play as? Oh. Alright. Get that rage in, guys. Get that rage in. Unbelievable, man.
Yeah, I'm getting serious.
I'm getting furious. Oh, Outlaw. Kamikaze is good, man, but like, see, he got that speed.
Very bad.
He might do good. It's special. I don't like it. It does damage, but man, I'm good. Sweet Tooth does good, like, special and armor, but his speed is. I don't know, man. He was keeping up in the race. Yeah. Well, what's his special anyway? Team health drop? Person seems like average. Average speed, average armor. Nobody's fast in this game except for Grimson Fairy. Roadkill's up there though. He's got mediocre-ish speed. Kamikaze's the only one out there in speed, so I'm gonna pick the Kamikaze, man. But man, I get thrown around. Wait, we could change weapons. I forgot about that. Oh yeah. I don't know which one would do more damage, but this will have to be close range. You know what? I'm just gonna try it, guys. We're gonna try it. You know? I just don't know why my chat doesn't work out here.
Welcome to the battle race. Another event.
I see it. Hold on, give me a
another
second.
chance for you to fulfill the death wish that you've had since you saw your father's head well, since you saw your father die. Don't miss too many gates, Mr. Grimm. And please be sure to finish among the top racers to earn a little twisted surprise at the end.
Let's try it again.
For this event, the Happy Town
Are we ready?
Sons...
3,
Alright guys, we're gonna try to win this one this time.
1.
He's right next to me. I see him. Oh, watch this, watch this, watch this. Freeze him. He's frozen. What? Oh my god, bumped off the road. Wow. They intentionally just throw me off. Look at Grimson. Look at Grimson. Yeah. Wow.
Mr. Grimm can't even catch up with him. I got him. Oh, get him. Shoot him out.
Trying. Oh my god, I can't.
Miss 5 more, and you will self-destruct.
We're done. We're fried. We were so focused on Grimson. Everybody in this race is on his team. Yeah, and hey, lower please. You're screaming.
Welcome
wanna
to
kill
the battle
Prince.
race.
What's going on anytime? All right, we gotta do this again, guys. That's we gotta do this again. We got it this time.
Death wish that you've had since you saw your
cheating,
father's
bro.
head
Such a cheater.
well, since you saw your father die. Don't miss too many gates.
I don't miss too many gums. Whatever.
2.
Just go. Oh, woo, you're in front of me. What? I froze him. It didn't count. Oh my god, move. All right, nobody's in my way, man. Just skip everybody. Skip everybody. Move. Wow, just that was so cheating, though. This game is so rigged. You know what? The AI rigs it all. Okay, Grims, move out of my damn way.
Gate missed.
Ah, he made it right in there with no problem. Oh my god, dude, go! This man sucks. Yes, I killed him! Oh my gosh, just let's do the race now. But I think we still gotta kill the other players. Man, why was he so hard? He's supposed to... Dude! Oh my god, I hate this. I hate the reverse in this game. It's really trashy.
Self-destruct.
I don't care about the self-destruct. I'm trying to win the race. Hold up.
Special weapon available.
I don't care about the special. Come on, look at this. Everybody just rams me off. Like, and look, he just sat there too, waiting for me because he's like, haha, we're not really racing. We're just blocking your way. We don't give two craps. Oh my god, I just totally just missed that.
Missed a gate. Missed 3 more gates, and you
Whatever, man. Everybody's hitting me everywhere. Ooh. No, I did not. The game missed me. What are you talking about? Get the hell off of me. Oh my god. Jeez. What am I in hell right now? Like, what did I do wrong? I was just trying to play some Twisted Metal. Honestly, this Magnum is garbage. It's pure garbage. It doesn't lock on. It's crap. The gameplay locked up. Oh my god, why is it doing this now? Oh, now you guys see it. Okay, that was weird. All right.
Oh,
Sorry, guys. Man, what the heck is going on up in here? It did. Sorry, big nerd. All right, guys, we should be good now. You guys should be able to actually see it now, which is good. Dude, you just messed me up. Where's my Magnum? Shoot the damn Magnum. Hello? Oh, now you shoot the Magnum. Oh, okay. Oh, maybe it's a... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, look. It don't even aim. You actually have to aim your crosshair at it. Look at that.
backward.
They don't care. They're not really racing. They're just pretending. Oh, my God, dude. Just go. Shoot.
Missed 2 more.
Oh, my... What the... Why am I going backwards? What is that on my trunk?
Bomb. Sticky bomb.
You missed a gate.
I got one more gate I missed. I'm dead.
And you will self-destruct.
Oh, it does do damage, but it's... Oh, gosh.
Ah!
I don't know, dude. I hope you're in the front.
No.
I got one more... one more gate. I'm dead. I have to follow the rules now.
Special
Oh,
weapon.
what the heck? Dude, move!
Gate missed. Missed 2 more gates.
You got 2 more gates, yeah. Careful, man. Wow, this guy's just throwing mines at me. Hey, look, these guys are going like 2 miles per hour. They don't care. They're not really racing. I figured that much. Oh my god, traffic. It's rush hour. Why do we play games like this in rush hour? Yeah, okay, move out the way. What place are we in? You're behind me?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't aim this Magnum.
Being
Special
careful.
available.
Wow, I like how I'm doing 1 damage. Wow. Wow. Come on. Come on. Oh, I missed that. Oh, what the? Wow, that AI grabbed that health pickup. I got nothing now. This one. Oh, these guys are bouncing around. Ooh, who's in the front? Wow. I don't get it. Kill all opponents to advance? How do we kill all 4?
Battle.
Dude, this is so rigged.
If I had, Daddy, if I had Juggernaut, I would ram all these guys over.
Hold on, you guys said the overlay is lagging? I have to keep an eye on this. I'm about to play this game on easy mode in a minute.
We're normal.
This is the hardest part of the game so far that I've come to encounter. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I get it. Like, you know, older games do these kind of things where it's just completely rigged and we know it. But the purpose of this is to make it seem like all the contestants are against each other for the prize. And really, it's not. They're all working together, taking out the players who are playing the game. It's crazy.
Whoever said life was fair, J13 deal.
What's that noise? All right, give me 1 second, guys. I don't know. Oh gosh. Jay's like, Mark Rig. Dear geez. All right, we got to finish this race, guys. So Grimsum's not the answer? Do we have to be first place?
No, we have to defeat all opponents.
There's too many of them, though.
Welcome to the battle race.
Look at this. How many are there?
Another event, another chance for you to fulfill.
Hold on, guys. Give me 1
that
second.
You've had since you saw your father's head well, since you saw your father die. Don't miss too many gates, Mr. Grimm. And please be sure to finish among the top racers to earn a little twisted surprise at the end. For this event, the happy town of Sun Springs, California will serve as your racetrack. It's a nice town, don't you think? Win this race and you'll be one step closer to going back and saving your father. Save your father, change your life. Good luck, Grimm.
Even Calypso's focused on the main player because who are we after here? Let's take all these players out. Sucks. Can't see, move!
Special weapon back online.
Yeah, I think we have to just take out the players. We gotta take them out quick though. I missed it.
Missed.
Okay. Wow. Look at these guys. They all just knocked me back. Dude, I can't do this. This revolver is garbage. I'm switching it out. Like that single shot and it not even that much damage to really worry about it actually hitting. Like it's pointless. What? Alright guys, hold on 1 second. I gotta go do something here real quick. I'm gonna just go ahead and just leave the I'm gonna leave this on for you guys. He's gonna just go ahead and just mess around a little bit, guys. I'll be right back, okay? Hold on. Just do single player just for a second. Did you want, well, you know how to mute the mic and turn it on and off. Just yeah, just do one player for now. We'll get back to the co-op here in a little bit, guys. I will be right back. I gotta go outside and take care of something really quick, guys, okay? Alright. I'll see you guys in just a bit. Alright, and I did listen to your guys' suggestions, so we do got some game. We do have one more game for tonight. You know, depending on how we do here with the stream goes, I'll definitely be checking these out and seeing what we'll be doing here, guys. If not, we'll definitely, we always got another day, guys. I'll be right back, though. Hold on, okay? All right, for you, the game is lagging too. You know what I'm gonna do? Yeah, I'm gonna put the stream on with my gain. Let me see if it's lagging, guys. That's weird. I'm gonna turn this sideways real quick. All right, I want you to do some gameplay. I want to see if it's lagging. They said that it was lagging. I'm watching the overlay now. Then we're gonna watch some of the gameplay. So far, it's looking pretty good for me, Jay. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Dragon destroyed.
Look how fast he goes in Diesel City. He could turn good now. He doesn't ever turn that good.
Okay, yeah, no, the game's running phenomenal. It looks like it's running good on my 5G, and it's running good on also on my Wi-Fi. Either way. Try to do your mobile network instead of your Wi-Fi, maybe, Jay. I don't know. I know yesterday you were saying you had some internet issue. Yeah, it's running phenomenal, dude. No lag at all. Weird. I'll check the recording just in case, just to make sure. But it seems like it's running pretty well. Oh, you're on the PC? Yeah, that's weird, dude. I have no idea.
Destroyed.
I don't know. Maybe the PC version is lagging. I was looking on the mobile app. It was running great. know. Let me know if anybody else is lagging. Guys, but hold on. I gotta go take care of something. I got people outside real quick. I gotta take care of some things. I'll be right back. Hold on. All right, little man. Mike's on. Good luck, buddy. I'll be right back.
What? You're gonna leave me here with these bozos? You know what I mean? Like the cars.
Vermin
What was it?
destroyed. Reaper destroyed.
Switch over.
Crimson Fury destroyed.
The last one. Oh, come on. I think we know who the last one is here, guys. Alright guys, so we got Shadow left. I have no idea where he's at, but he might be behind me actually. Oh, he's up here.
Yeah, Jay's saying is lagging for him. I don't know why. I'm looking at it. Seems fine.
Alright, so attacking Shadow. Let's ram him over. Ram him.
Shadow destroyed.
Alright. Alright guys, so we're gonna quit. We're gonna do Sun Springs. We're gonna do Sweet Tooth. Come on. Kamikaze, get over here. Yikes. Got you now, Kamikaze. Ha ha. Did Papao. Oopsies. Breaking and entering. Oh, ceiling can't transform. I'm gonna destroy all this food. Take out all the milk.
Special weapon available.
What? You can't do that.
Special weapon back online. Special weapon back online.
Alright, so saying Deathworn is hacked. He glitched under the match. Oh, yeah, he did. He freaking glitched underneath the stairs. Like, how do you call that not cheating? Ha! Bruh. Bruh. Ah. Bruh. Oh, this dude's cheating. Bruh.
Kamikaze destroyed. Mega guns.
Ah!
Mega guns.
Look, he just don't shoot me. He's already at the freaking map. Yeah, die.
Deathwood destroyed. Roadkill destroyed.
What? Oh, you got it now.
Your health is low. Special available. Special weapon back online. Special weapon available. Special weapon available.
How did you freeze me from all the way down there? Robo.
Special weapon back online. Your health is low. Special weapon has regenerated. special weapon available.
Looters is proud to announce our newest arrival, Agent Stone Ice Cream. 25 flavors, including world-famous Area 51 rocket.
Junkyard Dog destroyed. Gunner killed. Random weapon awarded. Outlaw destroyed.
Yeah, get out of here. All right, guys, I'll be right back. All right, guys, so we finally defeated those stupid freaking vehicle. Oh, look, they can even tell you, Outlaw and Junkyard Dog, they're the last two I was able to kill. They freaking kept
Death
going
Warren
back.
is hacking. He glitched under the match.
Dang, he glitched through these stairs.
Hey, bro.
Oh, Daddy, took me 10 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, he got off there, guys. Oof. All right, hold on. You got it back on the 2-player thingy, whatever.
No.
Oh gosh, cold outside. What the heck? It was nice and warm. Why did it start freezing?
Going.
Freezing. Yeah, I'll have to check it out, bro. I'll check it out. How you like it now? Keep this up here because I want to keep an eye on it.
Oh shoot.
Okay, guys, here we go. Alright, guys, let's try this again. Yeah, snow for a couple days? Oh man, dude, that sucks. We were getting some flurries here, but luckily didn't really like snow, thankfully. Thank goodness. Alright, let's get going. I'm doing the mounted guns, guys. I'm doing the mounted guns. Oh my god, it's already 11 o'clock. We gotta beat this level. At least. That's my mission.
Welcome to the
We
battle
had 2
race.
episodes. We couldn't beat this
Another
level.
event.
I need to
Another
take some of
chance
these-
for you to
let me take
fulfill
some
the
of
death
these
wish
keys
that
off.
you've had since you
What if
saw
the whole
your
episode was
father's
just
head
about
is-
me and you trying to beat this thing?
Well,
Feels
since
like
you
it.
saw it
3, 2,
Here's the Bureau's right next to me.
gate missed. Special weapon available.
Wow, look at this health.
Crimson Fury
I
destroyed.
was on to him. Alright, let's do the race now. 'Cause the rest of these guys are not as hard. See, the rest of these guys. So Grimson, I think, was the biggest challenger.
Gate
We gotta take the rest of these guys down. Oh wow, look at that. Oh,
gate missed.
dude, really? Wow, there's too much destruction. Wow. Wow. Okay.
Gate missed.
Wow, Roadkill is he just going through walls. He's like, screw the race.
Special weapon has regenerated.
Wow, look at Warthog.
Yeah.
Missed a gate. Missed 5 more.
And you miss, you make me think I missed. Oh my god. Seriously? Oh god, man, I hate that. Dude, the driving in this game is pure garbage. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't like it. I don't like the steering, like, it's not accurate. Oh my god. No, thank you. I'm 11th place now thanks to that dumb hill. Dude!
Gate. Miss 5 more. You will self-destruct.
I don't like this mode. This kills the story. Honestly, this just...
Wow.
I don't know. Dude, move.
Gate missed.
I
Miss 2
think
more
you're supposed to...
gates will be destroyed. Special
Machine guns are nowhere near like they used to be.
Miss 1. You have lost the battle.
Really. One more time, man. I don't know. I'm about to rage quit. I'm seriously about to rage quit. Like, I'm not doing this repeat. This shouldn't... This... Not good.
Welcome to the battle race. Another event, another
Ah,
chance.
shut up.
3.
Crystal Fury again, bro. He's so hard to kill. And I gotta do it again somehow.
Watch out, Crimson Fury in the front. Wow! Wow!
Move. Oh my god, and then Roadkill gets in my way, man. Come on, really?
Gate missed.
I don't like that.
Special weapon
I
has
gotta get Grimson now. He's too fast. I hate the steering in this game. Ooh, and then everybody wants to bump you.
gate missed.
Shut up. All I see is explosions, man. Like, I can't catch up to Grimson. No, once he's ahead of you, that's it. It's game over. You got to get him early game. If you don't get him early, forget it.
Gate missed. Missed 4 more gates. Will be destroyed.
Roadkill's gone. See, it don't matter. Like, if I get my special, we good. What the hell does Grim say? He's in the air.
You missed a gate. Missed 3 more gates.
Wow. There was nothing in my way. I hate this. Can't do this. How many gates did you miss?
One.
I'm the only one that's gonna die here. I mean, how did I miss? I'm next to it.
Gate, and you will self-destruct.
My God, man. See, now I just lost motivation. I did good last round. Now I gotta do this again. I don't even want to, really. We're just gonna do easy mode. No. Look at this. You bump somebody and you do like 360 flips. Like, it's stupid.
Don't miss a gate.
I just don't look at this one. Come on, get off the hill, man. Maybe we kill cars, we get a timer? I don't know. Look at these guys. Everybody's missing gates.
Missed 2 more.
Whatever.
Self-destruct activated.
This race is pretty
Lost
dumb.
the battle.
Like, I don't like that. I'm not really digging it at all. Like, I get it. Crimson Fury is like a Ferrari, Lamborghini, whatever. But my character has full speed, but because he's an AI, he just gets like auto boost,
Battle race.
and he has like perfect handling.
Event, another chance for you to fulfill.
Nah, no.
that you've had since you saw your father's
Yeah, I give up, Jay. I never got a key, so
since
whatever.
you saw your
I'm not worried about the
father
game.
die.
I don't want to keep thinking about it because it will make me more upset.
Don't miss too many gates, Mr. Grimm.
All right, let's do this again. I'm not gonna. I sat in channels for nothing. Nothing happened, so I quit. Move out of my way. That's how you do it.
Special weapon back online.
Wow!
God damn walls, man. You wanna go in front of me? Get off! Come on! Dude, are you killing anybody in the back?
I'm trying.
Oh my god, now the whole freaking team is in front of me now.
Gate missed.
Kill Grimson for nothing again. I'm not doing it. This is my last time anyway, so if we win it, we win it. If not, I'll put a cheat code in. I'm not, you're gonna keep doing this. What the hell are you first place? Come on, move, steer straight. Dude, look, he didn't even hit the pole. God, I hate the driving in this game. It's so stupid.
Gate missed.
Wow, that one pole that blocked me. But the rest of the house was perfectly fine. I can't. I'm being pounced around like a freaking dodgeball. All right, we're back to the first place guy again. But he's too far away.
You missed a gate. Miss 5 more. And you
Come on. Come on, he's right there. Turn the damn wheel, man. Oh my god.
missed
I have my special. I don't even care anymore.
gates, and you will self-destruct.
Dude, you're last place. What the hell are you doing back there?
Miss 2 more gates.
All these guys again.
Gate missed.
Furman, you should have been dead. He's still alive. He's gonna grab a health. He's gonna grab a health. Hell out of my way. All right, get the next one. First place. 8 opponents left. 8? Man, that's so many. You're way in the back. How is he way up there, though? Of course I missed the gate, because I'm being thrown around.
Self-destruct.
Oh, God.
You have lost the battle.
Fuck out everybody, man. Everybody was in the front. This part of the game is making it not fun. I'm being very serious right now. Like, this is not a challenge. This is handicap.
Another event.
The AI can do whatever they please.
Fulfill the death wish.
Don't have to worry about getting self-destructed. I never once seen them get self-destructed.
Well, since you saw your father,
And they miss polls all the time. They just make their own path. Who cares?
don't miss too many gates, Mr. Grimm.
Yeah, we don't miss too many gates. For them, they can miss whatever they want.
1.
Get first place. And of course, everybody's in my way now. Well, there goes that. He's not gonna die. Whoa, man, why are these cars bouncing me around?
Weapon has regenerated. Gate missed. Crimson Fury destroyed.
Way to do it. Once we take out Grimson, we're good. Now get the rest of the team.
Trying.
I hate this. Everything I touch, I bounce. All right, come on, man. Where's everybody? Now nobody wants to pass me up. Thank you. Okay, time to die. Wow, you got a lot of life.
Gate missed.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm gonna stay in the front then. So we gotta. Just gotta get used to the steering in this game. This handgun is crap, man.
Missed.
I don't like it.
This is too much.
I'm killing everybody in the front, dude. Are you taking any out?
I'm trying.
I need your help, bro. I can't do this myself. Oh, that's stupid deal. I hate this. There's no power-ups. I got nothing. No weapons or nothing but a stupid handgun. That's crap. Alright, just pass me up, dude. Jeez. I'm tired of you just shooting me in the back. I gotta take out these both in the front because you're not up here. I'll get them.
You ain't that fast, man.
They're pretty garbage.
Wow.
They're gonna get more health again. I'm taking them out all by myself. Wow, he grabbed all that.
Gate missed.
Wow, my God, look at your health, dude.
Mine?
No, oh my God. They stopped intentionally. Wow, so I won't kill him. I'm not doing this. I'm pretty much racing myself here. Look at this. Stop it. Go straight, man. Enough damage, bro. Come on, man. I hate this thing. I got no weapons, nothing. I can't take these guys out.
Self-destruct. Gate missed.
How many missiles? Come on. Dude, seriously, you need to attack them. You're way back there, bro. You're last place. Yes.
4 more gates. And you'll be destroyed.
Not my fault.
Killed another one. What are you killing? Come on, this is co-op. I can't do this myself. We're gonna die. We're about to lose the race because I got no health. See, now they're not even going fast. I'm literally tapping the accelerator.
5 more, and you will
No, don't you dare. It's my health. Oh my God, get off of me, man. Come on, my special takes so long to recharge. Here, I'll slow one down for you. Get him. Don't forget to use up for freeze.
special available.
Okay, another one dead. Use up on the D-pad for freeze.
Oh my.
Destroy.
Or whatever it is.
What's left?
Oh my God, stop shooting me, bro. Dude, we're gonna die again.
Dark
Yeah.
Destroy. 5.
Alright, he's gonna be frozen down. I'm gonna grab another health if I need it. Alright, somebody pass me. Come on! Thank you. Wow, he's still alive. But my special wants to take 1,000 years to regenerate. Ooh, man. We gotta go this way, really? Such a weird turn. See how much part we have to keep killing.
Back online.
What?
We're in the arena.
What?
We gotta kill all these guys. Now we're in the arena. Alright, there's no items here to grab. What the heck?
Did.
I know, now we did it. That's why I said we had to keep killing. We couldn't take a break. That's why. I'm gonna grab items around the map real quick. This dude just popping a willy on me. Move! I love how the entire enemy... So that's all we had to do was race to the arena. Dude, without Grissom Furry, we're good. Oh, that was the finish. Oh my God. Move!
I was running outside the arena.
I don't know. Look at these guys. They're all after... I love how none of them are attacking you.
No one's attacking me. I got one.
Destroyed. 2 opponents left. 1 enemy remains.
One enemy, bro. I swear we lose, I rage quit. Get out of here. Oh my gosh.
Warthog destroyed.
Oh my dear Jesus.
Congratulations. Your team has won the race.
Yes. If we don't get something good out of that,
That was the hardest level in the entire game.
that was it.
Wow. I did that for a super mine. Does that mean that it's mine?
We
Just I'm gonna enjoy this movie. That was hard, man. Oh my gosh. That rage.
Hey, it's boss.
Iron Maiden battle? Oh,
Terrible.
I hope not, man. That's the pictures we were seeing.
Pick your best car.
Let's pick up my guy. Screw it. I got used to him.
I'm picking Meat Wagon.
D-Wagon, go for it. Should have probably just switched it. Oh, God. I'll just rage some
Welcome
more.
to Devil's Canyon, Grim.
Devil's Canyon.
Dollface will do anything to get her dream. You think your wish is crazy.
Dollface.
Trust me, when it comes to crazy, she's got you beat.
Who's
Don't
that?
worry. I've parked something on the battlefield to give you a fighting chance. You'll need it because Dollface, she's quite ambitious. As you can see.
How many are in there?
Good luck, Mr.
I want that vehicle.
Your last battle, or your last stand, begins now.
Oh gosh.
Can we use this with the rockets on it? Oh my god!
Oh yeah, she's flying around. Look at her.
I can't even see her. Where's she at?
Oh, these are her little guys.
She's up there. That has got to be the hardest boss,
Driver kill.
right? We have walls. We have barriers.
Special weapon is regenerated. Driver kill. Extra.
Wait, if you're underneath a rocket blast, you get set on fire.
Random weapon.
Look, I'm gonna set up.
See her shadow too. But what's with this rocket thing? What am I supposed to do with this?
Wow, we're fighting Dollface, literally. She's chasing me. I'm running.
No, I was not lucky enough.
Special weapon back online.
I'll check. No, not lucky at all.
Daddy, she's after you. She's shooting you. With lasers.
Yeah, but nope. I still got health.
Nope, no, you don't.
I do. I'm looking, dude. I'm hiding behind the thing. Well, she ain't even after you, bro. She's right by me.
Yeah, but our little guys are after me. Wow, there's only one little guy left. Wow. Hey, look, she's right by you.
Nothing. Nope. Yeah, look, she's on to me. You could probably get her.
No.
Look at her. You can use this to look up.
Her. That's Dollface?
Yeah, well, she's not. I think we're in a good spot. What's up there, Thomas? What's up, bro? You should have saw me earlier. I am gonna fight, but look, I'm glitching her. What do we got to do? There's got to be something we got to do. What's on the map? Just garage?
No, it's not garage.
Oh, that's the missile.
Daddy
I know. Give me a second.
said Dollface would anything achieve her dream. She did.
Yeah, really much. Yeah, no key, Jim. No key, bro. How would you know if you got it? Would the company contact you, or is it like just through Twitch? Yeah, nah, nothing then. All right, we gotta take her out. How are we gonna do this? I got 3 specials. This might hurt. I did barely any damage to her. Oh, yep, that hurt.
Oh, I see her over the cliff.
Yeah, she's knocking everything down. All right, we're gonna have to battle her, guys. We're gonna have to take her down.
No one will take my dream.
Guys, it's not called Diablo Canyon. It's Canyon. It's called Devil's Canyon. They changed the name.
Yeah, so that means just drops. That's all they're doing, Jim. They're not. I don't think they're emailing keys. I think if you get the drop, they're not. I don't think emailing keys is the way they're gonna do it, bro. They want the people to do drops because that's helping them, keeping their popularity up. Yeah. What's up?
She's over the cliff.
She won't chase you? So that's why I've been having such a tough time. They focus on me. Yeah, nothing,
I'd hate to be you.
Nothing, bro. Nothing at all. People are all like being suckers right now, falling for that Valorant key stuff, man. I'm not gonna be one of the victims and fall for that. Okay, guys. Well, let's get started. We're gonna try to win this one. Let's go. That's the missile. So what are we supposed to do? Who are those guys? Oh, I got barely any damage to her though. She has a shield on her, so we're not doing damage that way. Oh no. I'm on fire. My car is on fire! Oh no, where are we supposed to go? There's only that green missile. It said we need to do something with that. That's what he said he gave us a fighting chance. That's okay, we go back to the thing.
No. Yes, we will. We will restart and go back to the little.
Oh, it's just there. It showed the missiles on the thing. We got to use it or something. It's on the map. You'll see it. Green missile.
No, I'm trying to like listen to it.
Welcome to Devil's Canyon, Grim.
By the way, Magic, while you're here, bro, are you lagging?
To get her dream. You think you're
They did?
crazy?
Yeah.
Trust me. When it comes to crazy, she's got you beat.
Sacrifice to
But
launch.
don't worry. I've parked something on the battlefield to give you a fighting chance. You'll
Sacrifice
need
to
it because
start.
Dollface, she's quite ambitious. As you can see. Good luck, Mr. Grimm. Your last battle.
You emailed through Whisper? Yeah, I got no whispers and no email. Ugh. Yeah, I don't like the way they're going about with it, but all good. There's something here. What's here? Like, why is it all light here? Maybe we. Oh, wait. Let's attack these guys. Take these guys out.
Special weapons.
Alright. Alright, so they're down and out. You get health for doing it too, which is cool. Ah, well, they did. Thank you.
Driver killed. Extra health awarded.
She after you?
Yeah, so we got.
Oh no, she after me!
Mega guns.
No!
Must we have to get here? Alright, it says sacrifice to launch.
I'll sacrifice it.
I don't get it.
How do we do that?
I don't know. Is there nothing to trigger it or nothing?
Attacking around.
It doesn't
Wait, we
move.
need to get.
Yeah, let's get it right here then. Come on.
No one will take my dream.
Right here. I don't think that worked. Nah, she ain't gonna come in here.
Daddy, how do you do that zoom out thing?
Right stick.
Pressing it in. I'm gonna go find help.
We have to hit her in a certain spot.
How
She has shield on.
I'm the wrong way for her. Yep, Daddy, you can go find her. I'll go find someone else.
It ain't gonna work, dude. I think we do gotta get over here. He's following me now. Hold on. And then she walks away. Yeah, they want the hype for the game. Yeah, it's just like I said, it gets their, you know, it is what it is. It's their game. They can do what they want.
Your health is low.
All right, I don't get it, bro. There's obviously. Are we supposed to destroy this thing? Sacrifice. Are we supposed to sacrifice ourselves? I'm gonna let her kill me, see what happened.
Back online. Gunner killed. Random weapon awarded. Driver killed. Extra health awarded.
Yeah, see, she's got that red shield on her right now. Well, we'll find out.
Lost the battle.
It says sacrifice to launch. I just sacrificed nothing. Huh. Okay, so we're missing something.
Welcome to Devil's Canyon, Grim. Dollface will do anything to get her dreams.
Let's get that red car, maybe?
Your wish is crazy. Trust me. When
Wait,
it
maybe
comes
we have to
crazy,
sacrifice one of her
she's got you
vehicles.
beat. But don't
Yeah,
worry.
maybe.
I've parked something on the battlefield to give you a fighting chance. You'll
Yeah,
need
but-
it because Dollface, she's quite ambitious.
Oh boy. Oh, nice, right? Alright, I mean, we'll try it, like I said, but by the time we get to it, I probably won't even want to try it, so hopefully they don't wait too long.
Or your last stand begins now.
Alright. Alright, let's get one of these guys on here.
When I kill you, maybe I'll use your skull for a helmet.
Alright, let's get one of these guys on here.
Familiar.
Oh, don't kill him.
Gunner killed. Random
Going missile did 10
God.
damage, Trevor?
Yeah, so we gotta get them in here. Did it shoot her?
Daddy, help!
What?
I'm about to fall!
I can't do anything.
Bye, Daddy.
driver killed. Extra
Mercy bonus. Yeah, I don't know what else. I don't know. I think maybe we just gotta attack the other people, maybe.
available.
I've been doing that the whole time. I killed all of them, didn't do anything.
Yeah, I don't know, because we're moving around the map. Wow. Okay.
No!
This Luke's hell. It doesn't kill you instantly, which is good.
Special weapon available.
Wow. Wow. Oh my god, man. This game is like, I don't know. It's like something. Yeah, I see the red car.
Go red car.
Red car is what we gotta go after, I believe, right here.
No, take my dream.
Oh my, I'm getting rammed because you're not here. I need your help, dude. We're on the other side of the track. on.
Driver kill. Extra.
Good. This one. Get this red car. Get this red one. There you go. Capture.
You captured.
Yep. Let's go take it back to the missile. Yeah, man. Take it back to the. What you hit me? Wow.
See you later, freak.
God, you're carrying a freaking dragon. You gonna have to use get in queue.
Do I look bad in this?
Seriously, dude, you made me follow you. Why does it keep turning me that way?
See you now, Grim.
Yeah, there's way. Look at my health. I'm about to die, dude. Did you grab all the health? There's no health. There you go. You take the hits from me. Okay. Why is she after me?
Open the rock. Oh.
I'm preparing. I'm preparing.
Oh, that's the car we saw.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I don't know. Sacrifice. Look, look.
Missile is being attacked.
Oh, I gotta steer it.
Missile is being attacked.
He's running away.
Missile is being attacked.
What do I do?
He's dead. We have to make another sacrifice.
Yeah, but I can't. There we go.
Prepare for another sacrifice.
Oh my god.
Another red car came.
Oh, my health is like, I'm dead. Let's go for the red card. You got her?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, hurry up, turn her in, turn her in.
I literally just got her immediately.
When I kill you, may I use your solar helmet.
Oh, actually, I can get this guy, get this small guy. Get the health. Boom, 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 I need help. Oh, thank God, I'm about to die. Alright, you do the missile. My health is down again? How? You got the missile?
I don't know how to steer.
Yeah, it's just the normal.
Yeah, but it's like different up, down.
She's moving around. She knows you're after her. There you go. You might get her. Yep. She's not moving. Good job.
Oh!
Oh, in the summer? Okay. Oh, her shields are down?
Another red.
The dog, Mr. Grimm!
Alright, well, let's... Oh, the truck is moving.
She has no health loss.
No?
Okay, grab that health.
I'm trying.
I'm gonna go after the red.
Well, let me grab it. Oh, there you go. Now let me. Oh my God. All right, we got to find out where that missile went, though. She really raged. I'm trying to grab some items to slow it down. Woo, she's trying to heat me up. Good job.
You have captured an enemy leader.
Hey, you distract her. Don't put her towards me.
Okay, she's on me. You still gotta put the missile anyway. It's by you. Alright.
Hey, get there. There's an enemy behind me.
Do I look bad in this?
Oh, you did the secret lab download too? Sweet. Yeah, I mean, it was requested, so I'm gonna, that's what the bot on Discord said, so we're gonna go ahead and go with it, try it out, see what it's all about, and see that they made some other games too. Get her, get her, get her. Where'd she go?
Running from a fight, just like I can.
You got her?
No, I blew up the ceiling by accident.
Oh, well, get the next red one.
This red one's behind you. The red arrow is the red one.
No, the red arrow's heard, Iron Maiden. Bunch of red arrows.
No, the red arrow. The white ones are the little white guys. The little white cars.
Yeah.
You need to get the red car.
No. Oh, there is a shortcut with the cave. Get us to each side quicker. Oh, here's the missile thingy. There you go.
I got it. Oh, you can get it.
I gotta work back to make it.
Enemy leader.
I don't think their launch is gonna matter right now anyway. Yeah. Or you gotta do it while it's moving?
Yes!
Oh, it's hard.
I've done it.
Alright, come on, a little more, a little more, a little more.
You have to do it while he's on the bridge. That's easy. Okay.
Got him. Gotta be a way to speed up.
Missile is being attacked.
I got it.
Missile is being attacked.
There we go. Go, 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 go! Oh, what the heck? Throwing up? That's why you don't get a lady mad. Her armor's down? Oh, let's get her.
When I kill you, maybe I'll use your skull for a helmet. Now why does that sound familiar?
Doing damage to her. I gotta get close to her. There we go. Got her. About to get more armor or whatever it is. Watch. Mm-hmm. Oh no?
Oh, now you have to be inside the cage with her.
Oh yeah, we don't want to go that way.
You have to be in the cage with her.
Go, Kevin!
Special weapon has regenerated.
Wow. What the heck? Really? Oh my god, dude, turn around. Why does it spawn me the other way? I'm so dead, dude. Doesn't help, but it's way over here.
Special weapon available.
Just too far away.
No one will take my dream.
Shield again.
Everywhere she moves, the shield goes with her.
Special weapon is
You
reaching.
need that help?
Yes, I do.
They go back.
The other way? What?
They are just right there.
How? I had full health. My God. I swear to God. Start me from the beginning. I'm gonna be so mad.
Okay,
I'm about to say. The aiming and driving, yeah. Well, this one I noticed a few things auto aim, sort of. Yeah.
now we know what to do.
Can't like aim to the left, man. I gotta aim the front of my car at her. But it's stupid because when you do that,
Special weapon available.
and I'm doing mad damage to her right now. Stay in the freaking ring. Come on, man. Fell off. The handling in this game is, and look, it faces me the wrong way. Garbage. Come on, get in the ring, dude.
He keeps moving.
Gosh.
Special weapon is reaching.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, she's out of the area. Oh, now she wants to be this way. Ooh. Oh my God. Bump me again. Okay, thank goodness.
Wow.
She looks creepy, man.
She'll do anything to achieve her dream, as G said. Right?
Yeah. Wow.
She's almost dead.
Ah,
God.
thank goodness. That was close, man. She's mad. Sounded like me earlier. Well, now she knows what it feels like to rage. Wait, well, now what? We done here? Oh!
What are we doing?
I don't know. Grabbing his cell phone.
Go back to the beginning.
What?
What?
Oh, it's her head. You know, she should have stopped while she was already ahead. Okay, that's it. You want to play? You want to play?
Her head's so easy to beat. I'm about to say, like, what?
I'm doing damage to her anyway. I ain't worried about it. So she's kind of like a sweet tooth deal where, but instead they gave Dollface a chance.
We finally killed her. Oh!
Calypso!
That's it, Dad. She's gone. Now I'm coming back to save you.
She just says some save me, Calypso.
Hmm.
What? We got Darkseid. Cause Dollface's car is Darkseid. We got Darkseid. We beat Dollface.
You fell behind. Right?
We thought she was dead.
All right,
Can't-
we'll start the next round, guys. Give me 1 second.
She acted like she died. Come up as a head.
We've been sitting here. So far, some good guys. This on the PS3. Cool, right?
How do we get this?
What?
All the crap I've done. Oh, you think you're tough? Come on, motherfucker. Bring it. Bring it. All the people I've hurt.
Please, God.
You want to meet God?
No, please don't.
All because of that one night. But now I can change all that. Money, power. They say Calypso can grant any wish. But can he really send me back? Let's see if he can do the impossible.
Ah, that's his entrance. You really want that wish?
Hell of an entrance. I'm sure your dad would be proud.
Send me back to save my father, Calypso.
Mr. Grimm, your wish is
granted.
Okay, so he's back as a kid.
What?
Oh,
They can see him as Mr. Grimm the way he is. He killed his father and he killed himself.
wow. Well, wow.
He's still alive.
He did just say, "Send me back to my
dad
father."
kept a handgun under his seat. He never knew I knew about it. Never thought I'd go snooping around.
How to kill himself.
Send me back, Calypso.
Watch, that kid's gonna do the same thing in the future.
I gotta admit, I'd have shot that motherfucker too. Bring it!
Mr. Grimm. I'm sure your dad would be proud.
Wow, so he's gonna grow up again and wish for the same thing. Wow.
And the same thing's gonna happen again and again and again and again. Mr. Grimm's life is just gonna keep happening over and over and over.
Yeah, that is crazy. Well, guys, the campaign's almost done. We only got, what, Dollface? Who's that?
Dollface. She's Juggernaut. Madness of Dollface.
Oh, yeah, we're doing the... Okay, you're right.
Look, he's killed Speechy and Mr. Grimm.
My name is Krista Sparks. Maybe you've heard of me. I'm going to be the world's most famous supermodel. Oh, no. That's not me. That's me. And nothing will stand in my way. I'm the prettiest one. They all know that. But the competition, they never let up.
Good, Maya. Great. Client's gonna love this.
They all try to stop me. They all want to be me. Excuse me, Maya? But that's okay. It just makes me want to work harder.
Good, Krista. Great. Client's gonna love this.
Hard work and talent. That's why I'm going to make it all the way to the top.
Wow.
Six months, 11 operations. But something was wrong. Those other models, They'd gotten to him. They had the doctor do something to my face.
Miss Sparks, it's a tiny scar.
No, he was working with them.
Perhaps you need a different sort of doctor. A therapist, perhaps. I'm afraid there's nothing more I can do for you.
He wanted to keep me from my dream. After that, he wouldn't work on me anymore.
Yeah.
But that's
Wonder.
okay. I found a different way. But now the mask, it won't come off. But when I win this contest, Calypso will help me. Calypso will set me free.
Danger.
And then I'll work twice as hard.
Look at her.
Then I'll show them all. Because when you believe in your dream, there's always a way to the top.
Escape the mask and become a supermodel, really? Yeah, it's weird, Thomas. It is weird. I like this. This is cool. All right, endurance battle. Oh my god, the battle races is my only concern. Okay.
Dark side.
Yeah.
And I'll choose.
I think this time I'm gonna go. You want to choose one character?
No, two.
Two. All right. I'm gonna do Sweet Tea.
Can't.
Huh?
The arena has a hole in it. That's gonna be cheating. I'm selecting two ground cars. Why do you be able?
Oh, the game could cheat. Why can't I?
Welcome to Blackrock Stadium. I've put in some new features since the last contestants fought here.
Uh-oh.
It just seems like I'm never done with the place.
Very evil.
I've added a sky bridge for shortcuts, but watch out for the drops. And I wanted lava pits since the start. I was always just too busy to get it
This
done.
one's different.
But we finally added those as well. One at each end of the arena. There are
I wish
also
Minion
some
was
great
in here,
weapons
though.
in the center room. But now that we've got the spikes working, you should really be careful in here. The garage is still here. As are the fools who keep showing up to watch from the sidelines.
He's talking about the crowd.
If you need extra help,
What?
keep an eye out for the orb. Stay in its beam to reach full health recovery. If you survive, I'd really love to hear what you think of the changes. I'm so close to it, I don't know if it's even good anymore. Best of luck, Miss Sparks. Hope to see you soon.
Wow. Right, here we go.
How is Grim Reaper? Come on. Turning ain't good.
Special weapon available.
Hey, you want help? Yeah, go to Spike Trap.
That's where it is.
Yeah, that's where the health is, in the middle of the Spike Trap room.
Weapon available.
Come on, one more. He's gonna grab help. No, let him go. all after us. They don't even care about the... All right, Sweetie, you got this thing in the front of your truck and you're still being pushed around. There he goes. He does have armor, though. I'll give him that. Oh, I seen the beam. Oh, that's... Oh, never mind.
You just look for Wagner Tower.
You want to take my tower?
Yep. You choose me, Wagon Boy. Go over there and ground the fence.
She's the 2012 version of Harley Quinn, right? All right, guys. So yeah, this is it. This is like the final campaign for what we can tell. I think we're about to actually beat this Twisted Metal. Not bad, but not the best that I've seen. I mean, it is the newest one. The characters are a bit weird. It looks like there's only 3 characters in this game, but yet they have the classic vehicles, you know? Oh my god, I don't like how the AI just runs into... Like, look.
Warthog's dead.
Destroyed.
He does do damage if you runs into it. He has the... Oh, almost hit the electricity.
There's 8. Oh, there's 8 guys in here. We have to kill 8, Daddy.
8 of them?
Yeah, we have to kill 8. No, you see how many are in the arena right now? That's every single character we have unlocked. We just need to kill 8. Okay, Daddy? What?
Oh, not this guy. Okay, robot's almost done.
That one's almost done.
Yeah, there is damage when you run into players. What happened? Alright, hold on, guys. Alright, let's try this again, guys.
Done. We're about to finish this whole game, like what, 2 episodes?
Yep. Yep.
Special available.
Oh my god, I'm just being blown away.
Special weapon available. Reaper destroyed.
What's new with GTA Online? I know what the casino was the thing. What's like the latest thing anyway? Didn't they just add something not too long ago? Good evening, Kelso. How are you, bro? Yeah, we'll see, guys. I mean, we're in the final campaign right now. Earlier we did some Bomberman, and oh no, I'm in the pits of fire. Get out of there. Wow.
Special weapon.
We're gonna double look and see things, guys. We might do a continuous. Maybe keep the stream rolling. We'll see. We'll see how everything's looking. What is that in front of me?
Wow.
We might have to do it with one of the VIP suggestions we're on Discord.
Kill me, wagon. 2 more.
Really? Wow. Move, Axel. Jeez. Have a nightclub. Ooh. Oh, they added the nightclub and workshop. Gotcha, gotcha. Okay. That's cool.
Crimson's dead.
Destroyed.
That's good.
But she killed the roadkill.
That's good.
I killed him. We won. I killed most of them.
There we go. Good job.
I killed most of them. You killed like 2. I killed 6. You unlock Crimson Fury.
Finally. Jeez, why was he so hard to unlock? Now we get to see why he's so fast. And his handling better be superb. According to that battle race we had. He's better have the best, like, stability, ultra wide turn. I want to see it all because that's the one I was seeing. We'll probably get nothing like that.
Probably not even.
Probably be like most Twisted Metals where the big giant boss, and then when you unlock them, they're like this little tiny action figure. Like a little tiny Hot Wheel.
Wait, Main, Juggernauts, DM, Ghost Town Gulch. You can get knocked off.
Right. Yeah, we'll see, guys. We'll see. You know what? About an hour earlier. We're about 2 hours now. You know, let me see. All right, we ready? Let's see here.
We better pick some good characters now. We get to pick Talon. We only get to pick 1 character. Pick a Talon. I ain't dealing with that. I ain't dealing with that car. No.
You're gonna be doing most of the damage, so make sure you get them.
Oh, Ghost Town.
Yeah, we got this. So we got a few more missions here left, guys. Let's do a nice little quick
Welcome
recap. See
to
how we looking here.
Ghost Town
Look at you bad.
Gulch.
Oh, no, stop.
A long forgotten town where, today, the living have come to die. To win the event, you must destroy all
normal
of your
to Calypso.
opponents. But it won't be easy.
Right.
Meet Juggernaut 2.0. He's faster and stronger than ever before. And fighting 2 of these beasts at the same time, well, it may very well make this event unbeatable. I'm sure you'll let me know if that's the case, yes? Good luck, Miss Sparks. I wish
Take your time. Yeah, we were live earlier, though. We were going to continue on, but I figured, you know, let's take a break. And then we come back. Alright, guys, here we go. Let's get to it. Let's get to it.
Careful, Daddy.
I need to be careful. Where's that 2.0?
Oh, shoot!
Juggernaut is about to spawn an enemy.
Y'all all move. Yeah, they're too damageful. Juggernaut's almost down and out. Oh my god, the steering in this game is like. Yeah, even Sweet Tooth with all the armor, it almost took me out. I gotta back off. Wow.
Lost the battle.
AI came straight for me. Oh, the AI. Look, they're not even battling each other. They don't care. They're like, hey, what's up, buddy? So we got 2 players here. Yeah, just focus on them. It's like 10 of us and 2 of them. You know, let's make it look like we're all like doing a.
Welcome to Ghost Town Gulch.
Fine.
Okay, that's it. It's showtime. Let's go. We don't want in the air. Take them out quick. Hurry up. Hurry up before they spawn cars, man. like that you get so much more turbo in this game, though. It's kind of cool.
How do you stop the Magnum? The magnet.
Juggernaut is about to
It's one of your special thingies. You gotta wait for your new one to come up. You press triangle. That's why.
What does magnet do? I can't shoot it.
Hey, this Juggernaut. Take him out. Take him out. Oh, good.
I'm flying.
Got it.
Juggernaut destroyed. 5 opponents left. Driver killed. Extra health awarded.
Yay. Alright, let's get that other Juggernaut. He's shit up ahead. Let's get him. Go, 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 go.
What? As soon as I do my special, I freaking get knocked out of the air.
Turning in this game is unreal. Alright, get the Juggernaut. Where you at?
Special weapon is
God, man. I can't. The whole freaking team is down here on me. You're not even like looking at the enemy, are you? Alright.
health is low.
Gotta use the right joystick. He's different, remember?
Special available.
Look, I don't care about nobody else but me. I'm low on health right now. Come on, Sweet Tooth, man. Like, they really changes everything. Let me help.
I'm waiting for my next special.
Alright, dude, do something. Shoot the other ones or something. Don't just sit there. What's up there? Look at the mines for Juggernaut. Oh my gosh. Yeah, 5 left. Yep. Dude, move! Come on. Annoying. I hate these guys. I hate all of them. Alright, guys, I gotta.
You're about to die. Find health. Juggernaut is
I'm trying, but everyone down here is after me, only me.
You're about to die. Find health. You've lost the battle.
Doing.
Oh, it's
You're shitting at nothing.
Special weapon.
Turn your camera. You wanted to play Talon. Turn your camera and aim at Juggernaut. He's the focus. Alright, you're letting him spawn a whole army.
Welcome to Ghost.
Don't worry about the other guys. Straight Juggernaut. Just attack. Your machine gun does mad damage. Okay? Use the right stick and adjust your camera view. There's too many boundaries in this map. And you waste your special on that.
accidentally.
Get off of me, man. It's the other team. And you're just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Chase this guy. I get mad freaking things on me.
Juggernaut destroyed. 4 opponents.
Get the other Juggernaut. Just Juggernaut. Don't care about nobody else.
Damn, where's the other Juggernaut?
Look on the map. I gotta wait. Now I gotta get more items. Hey, spawned a new enemy. That's nice. More attack me. Yay.
Special available.
I hear a bunch of people are getting banned from Warzone. Yeah, they need to, man. Sick of it. Like, it's annoying. I mean, the game company is getting such a bad rep. Like, nobody wants to play it because of it. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Juggernaut's dead.
Special weapon.
Yeah, well, so am I.
Oh my!
You have lost the battle.
attack Juggernaut. Can we quit? I want to choose now.
Right, yeah, the rage, yeah. The campaign definitely hardened up after the second one. Why does it still show Mr. Grimm? I was about to say. Scared the crap out of me. I was about to say, nope. Not again. It ain't happening. Alright, guys. Make sure I got this activity feed here, guys, because I gotta look at a few things. How was Darkseid? Did you try him? Armor and special does do it.
It's bad.
I'll just do talent. Grab me something to drink, guys. Yeah.
Welcome to Ghost Town Gulch, a long-forgotten town where today the
12 o'clock, guys. Oh no, we might have hit our dead point here. Alright, we'll see. Alright, let's do this now. Alright, I'm ready. You ready? You ready?
I'm going for Juggernaut.
That's fine. You do what you gotta do. Juggernaut is mine. I'm going after him. God.
See?
Well, I haven't played him. You did, not me.
Both of us. See, you're playing me.
Special weapon is regenerated. Juggernaut is about to spawn a new enemy.
Hey, come on, let's get that Juggernaut damage. Almost dead. Seriously? Alright, use this crappy gun too. Now it's shooting. I'm gonna put the shoot on. Oh my god, they are.
Special weapon is regenerated.
Hurts.
Juggernaut has spawned an enemy.
Can the special come any slower? Oh, I see you down there. He's almost dead. Oh man. Okay, that's it. Come out. Down.
I killed him.
Juggernaut destroyed.
Grab the health that's on the ground. Or shoot, I need help too.
Back online.
Health is gone.
Juggernaut
Disappeared.
is about to spawn an enemy.
I can't fight.
No, me neither.
I'm really about to die. No!
I told you, it's hard down there.
I'm about to die.
Grab the other health.
Other help.
The Juggernaut's about to die too.
Juggernaut has spawned an enemy.
Seriously?
Find health.
This thing's attacking the wrong thing. He's almost. There we go.
Juggernaut destroyed. 5 opponents left.
God, I can't move. Oh, I can't grab the people on the ground.
Driver kill.
All right, we gotta take out these rats quick.
You take him out.
I'm trying, dude. There's health around the map.
Find some health.
Man, this guy takes a lot of hits. God, I'm so low on health. Why is there no health on the map? No garage, nothing.
Death is imminent. You need health.
Oh, watch it. You just, dude, I can't do anything. I'm being shot at from up here. I'm trying to freeze them for you, so I'll do less damage. Once I get my ultimate.
Special weapon back online.
I'll take one out. Come on, dude, keep aiming at him. Thank you.
Some health.
There's gotta be something. Watch it, they're surrounding you. Alright, I see the one behind you. I'm freezing him. Yeah, a lot of them are cheating because they don't have the anti-cheat system. Yeah, that I don't know why they're doing that though, right? Yeah. Have anybody has been witnessing the cheating? All right, we all need help, dude. Where can we get this so-called help? Up here. Did you got it?
I didn't.
Okay. Dude, you're not even up here.
I need to look how low my health was.
Okay. Just stay out of view. I'm about to attack them. Oh my god. Come on! Oh my god, how long does that thing last? And I wasted it on this because I had a button mash. Oh my gosh. What items with this thing? This guy sucks. Like, look. What the hell is this special even supposed to do?
Special weapon back online.
Oh, he's just doing so much damage to me right now.
You're about to die. Find health.
Come on. There's gotta be more we can do here. We're all up here.
Death is imminent. Find some health.
Don't forget to use right on the D-pad for shield. If you're getting attacked, you can hit right. Look on the bottom here. Left, right, up, down. Yeah.
Special weapon has regenerated.
To control this guy.
You do?
Yeah, I get to control the guy on my back.
Oh, I see you right there.
You're about to die. Find health.
That Christopher's gotta go. He's low on health anyway. Oh, there's health down. Go grab him.
Destroyed.
What?
The hell? Look.
Left.
You're not even near there. Oh, yeah, you are. Keep going straight.
About to die.
Right there. I killed him for you.
Health.
Got it?
Driver killed. Extra health awarded.
Okay. I'm gonna freeze this one.
I'm keeping it full.
Okay, I'm gonna get Sweet Tooth.
3 opponents left.
I'm dead.
Wow, and Reaper takes my health? Wow, I worked hard for that and he just killed me.
They do. They really do, guys. They really do. How are you in health? You're real low. Shoot. Where are you at? You're up here?
Yeah. I'm hiding.
No, you're good. You're good at your hiding. I see you up here. I'm gonna give you cover fire. We're gonna take out players. Hold on. What's coming?
North side.
Special weapon available.
One of them is. Here, I'm gonna take them out.
Yep, it's dark side.
Yep, get dark side's health.
Dark side destroyed. 2 opponents left.
I'll happily take that health. Thank you.
Driver
Did you get it?
killed.
Yep.
Extra health awarded.
Okay, who else is up here?
That's sweet too. I'll get Reaper.
This is gonna be right there at the bottom.
Oh, Daddy, I forgot there's health underneath the gas station.
There you go. That's the way to do it.
Help! Yes! Please help! Now I'm back in. Right, Daddy?
Right. Get this guy down because he's almost down and out.
Reaper destroyed.
Sweet
1
tooth.
enemy remains. You have won the
Holy
battle.
dear, jeez.
This was a hard game, but we lived.
That was close.
Died. But Daddy,
Please, you're in my left ear, dude.
Daddy, I almost died, right?
Yeah.
You know what I had to do? I had to hide on top of the hill. You know what they say? You about to die? Run for the hill.
That was close. Yeah, that's true, guys. That is very true. Warzone, you know, it is what it is. It's a new mode, so I'm sure they're working on something. Hopefully, maybe not. I don't know. Depends on what they really want to do.
Endurance battle,
I know, Kelso. It's crazy.
Daddy.
It is crazy.
Endurance battle, LA skyline.
I want to know. And then we got a movie mode next, and then we got a couple more levels, guys. Ooh, yeah, we're doing that Twisted Metal right now, guys.
Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, let's do it.
I don't want to pick on.
All right, let's take a look. Have we tried the new characters? try him? Oh, you already did. Jeez, you picked him quick. All right, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try Darkseid, and I'll keep Talent for backup just in case. We share cars anyway. Oh, you're joining the crew later. That's good. That's good. All right.
I chose the two characters that are on the
The
board.
rooftops of Los Angeles,
Hey, what's up, Barry? How are you?
high above the city of angels. It's the perfect place for us demons to play, don't you agree?
I thought they said gamers to play.
Kill the set limit of enemies to advance to the next event. But be wary, Miss Sparks. It's a long drop from here to the ground. I'd hate to see anything happen to that beautiful face of yours. And always remember, I'll be watching.
Daddy?
I'm always watching.
Oh, so he's here. Yeah, we're doing the campaign right now, guys. This is our first time playing it. We're doing the third campaign right now.
Woo! Oh, shoot. I went off.
Oh my god. Oh. Oh.
Look how fast she is! Oh, Daddy, this wasn't a good map.
Oh, there's ways to pull out the map on this one. Oh, he does ram. That's it.
Look how good turning she got. Oh, never mind. She don't got no good turning.
Oh, that ram does damage. Holy crap! Well, it was, also that was against Mr. Grimm. I don't have any. Yeah, you know what? You need to run into enemies in this game. Use your turbo on an enemy. It does a lot of. It does like a pretty decent amount of damage, better than a machine gun.
Special weapon back online.
Oh boy. Oh my god. Oh, this guy must be overpowered because he can like just throw you off the map. Or a motorcycle. I know, right? What's wrong with my Chrome? It just froze up. Ouch. Yeah, Jim, that's weird, dude. Well, Chrome does have a lot of. If you got a lot of like extensions running or whatever, that could happen, bro.
Special weapon available.
What the heck, Junkyard Dog? Really?
Where's the garage on this map?
I need a
special weapon back online.
Ah.
Come off the map. Way to do it.
Warthog destroyed. Roadboat destroyed.
Oh.
Special weapon has regenerated.
Seriously?
Junkyard Dog.
I just killed myself.
Your health is or find a garage.
I need to get out of here. Find help to find a garage. I'm up to. No! Come on! How am I supposed to see? That probably killed me. Of course it did. Ugh.
You have lost the battle.
I don't like that. How?
It is regenerated.
Yeah, dude, don't start with me. My ultimate does speed forward, and it flies me off the edge sometimes. That's all good. We'll get it this time. Thank you for the follow, by the way. Thank you so much, and welcome to the stream. It's great to have you here. That was an epic fail, guys. That was so bad.
You're fired!
Oh, I'm beyond fired. I'm fired.
You flamethrower!
Hey. Okay, I need to grab items. Let me change my camera. I'm not. Get the. Oh, no fall off. No, there's not. That's not a fall off anyway. I need help right now, but I don't want the AI grabbing it either. Oh. Yeah, the steering in this game is so weird. Hey. Wow. Okay. That was you. I saw that. I thought you were the AI for a second. I'm like, wow, he was thirsty.
Some health, or visit a garage to swap out.
Oh, thirsty to kill you.
Oh gosh.
Death is imminent. You need help.
Did he just fall off the edge? I saw that meat wagon.
Meat wagon's dead.
Oh, he killed himself? Yeah, he surely did.
He wanted you.
Get out of here.
It's like, you know what? I might kill myself, but hey, I want to get Darkseid with
Come on, turn the truck.
Back online.
Thank you.
No,
Oh, I got
Destroyed.
Yeah. I'm shooting over this enemy because he's so tiny. Out of the way, Axel. You got full health. I don't want you. Oh yeah, knock you off. Knock myself off. No! I'm gonna get you.
wait, Daddy! Hold on! Don't do anything! Don't do anything! Where are you?
No.
Where are you? Oh shoot! I died!
Oh my God! Really, man? I can't get up. How do you jump in this game?
You don't.
The other ones you do.
You don't. Don't jump.
Stupid. It takes me forever to turn around. Oh my God! By the time I turn around. Wow. I can't. Don't you dare fire.
Special weapon has regenerated.
I can't.
Vermin destroyed.
It still make you use the D-pad to steer? No, it's the joystick. I don't like the forward and reverse in this game. It's a bit weird. Oh, I totally missed it.
Special weapon has regenerated. Outlaw destroyed.
Okay, how many left? Okay. Say that, so I killed myself.
You're about to die.
I'm not. AI, man, they're all on me. They won't leave me alone.
Has regenerated.
Man. Annoying. Something wrong with your PC?
Lost the battle.
What happened, Jay? Yeah, I don't like playing as some of these heavily armored characters. Like their steering is pure garbage. No, it's just my turning. Like I literally go like this. Like it's so infuriating. But when the AI plays them, 180-degree turn angles, no problem.
Yeah, but guess what? My character does the same thing as that Chris Fury goes for.
Gosh, well, let's get this campaign over with. We're doing pretty good. We're near completion here, guys. Near completion here. Look at this. Look at this. Let me turn. Yo. Look at me. Look at me.
Why is there a taxi up here?
I got. Look, I can't turn around. Look, I can't shoot him. There we go. Whoa.
Special weapon available.
Oh my God, by the time I turn around with anything for anybody, they're already gone. Look at this. Ugh. Dude, I'm stuck. Like, I don't like Darkseid special. It's not even all that. I guess it could be in certain battle races, but not for this. Not for a rooftop falling off the map. Oh my God. I'm just being blown. Look, I can't move.
Special.
Like a big giant balloon. Look, I gotta turn around like this. Wait, I got mine. What's that on my back? Oh my god. Ooh.
That's your special.
Yeah, I forgot I have a second special.
See?
Oh, look what's on top of me now. Look. I got machine guns, baby.
How long till that runs out?
And that special is much better than a ram. I'm using it again. Like a freaking turn. Oh, sweet tooth. Okay, I've completely forgot about that. All right, here we go. All right, I'm. Wow, how do you blow a big giant semi? Okay, you know, I need to get items, man. I'm tired of not being able to do it. First, I need a party.
Special.
Okay, somebody just
weapon is
crashed.
regenerated.
Dude, turn around. Look at this. Ugh. Gosh. Okay, sure, no problem. Wow, this, I'm sorry, I'm not, but there is a garage here. I'm not feeling this dark side of it. I mean,
I'm killing a lot more characters. A Crimson Fury. Her gun mixed in with her flamethrower. Her. Okay, Daddy?
they're crashing my party, yes they are. Yeah, I'm trying.
Special weapon is regenerated. Reaper destroyed.
Like the way this thing aims.
Hey, you're about to die.
Fine. Can't move. I'm like, oh, Slowpoke here! Hey, Shenny! Yeah, of course, it was not where I thought it would be.
Special weapon is regenerated.
Epic fail.
Your health is low. Find some health or visit a garage to swap out your vehicle.
Oh my god, they locked me down while I had an ultimate, of course. Why wouldn't they, right? Man, you guys straight for me, right? Don't worry about anybody else. I'm for the dark side.
Jeez, they're all over there! Hold on.
Outlaw destroyed.
Turn around! Oh!
Gunner killed.
You know, I'm not gonna waste my time. They're coming inbound?
Yeah, I got him. Flamethrower. Oh! Killed him, though.
Destroyed. Junkyard dog.
I got meat wagon.
Destroyed. You have won the battle.
Oh, so there's still people on the map?
No, we had to kill 8.
Oh, that's why there's so much hard. I was about to say, don't tell me another dark side. Yeah, my dark side didn't drop like that.
Former Spider. That means your other one. Daddy, how is a race car doing better than a freaking tank? Daddy,
Yeah.
are doing better than a tank.
Well, you can move. You got better maneuver. Like, why not
I
move
had
him up?
worked so hard. But then... and the doctor,
Miss Sparks, it's a tiny scar.
he wanted to stop me too. But no one stops me. Because when you believe in your dream, there's always a way. All of us models had heard of it.
Really?
Able to turn even the ugliest girl into a star. He had lost some of his vision, along with his right to practice. But when he offered to help, what choice did I have? "6 days in the mask," he said. 6 days. The doctor promised I would be beautiful again.
Weird.
But when I went back to see him, the doctor was gone.
I'm sorry, I have no listing for a Dr. O'Spellick, is it? At that address or any other?
No. I know he was here. And now the mask, it won't come off. I can be pretty again. I can be pretty. Please make me pretty. The mask won't come off. No matter what I try. Get me out. Help.
Shotguns even penetrate that mask?
Nope. God mode and Nick activated.
The shotgun bullet went.
You have to help me.
Right? She went.
Wow.
Shotgun bullet. What kind of doctor makes that good of a mask?
Well, gave her immortality.
Fight for your life.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Crimson Fury.
Ah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Come on, Daddy.
Not Darkseid. Darkseid's not bad.
My two favorite characters, Crimson Fury and
Team Health Drop. I don't know. Let me try. I'll put some secondary characters. Let me try. I'm gonna try Junkyard Dog. See what it's all about, guys.
Welcome to the bright lights of Metro Square, Miss Sparks. You've always wanted to be a star.
Strix, right. Oh my God, Jim. Really, bro?
But do be careful. Because for this event, I've told all other drivers to only target you. All at
What?
the same time.
Pterosaurs were commonly seen swooping.
Oh, this level's oh, we've done this
You wanted
level.
the spotlight? You wanted attention, doll face? Well, now you've got it. Enjoy.
Oh wow.
they've been turning just one person the whole time.
I've been doing that the whole time. That ain't nothing new. I'm used to it. Junkyard Dog can turn. He can turn way better. Yeah, he turns way better than Darkseid. Special.
Guys, that means they're only gonna target you, not me.
Hey, what's in my trunk?
Guys, that means they're only gonna target you.
Okay, yeah, I know. Just please. Oh, I see. Now they're attacking me even more.
Special weapon back online.
I need to get items, man. I can see the words are in the way. Move
We have
it.
to kill 13 opponents?
13?
Yeah, look at the size.
What's my secondary? Oh, look at this.
Special weapon back online.
Got drop health. Look.
Outlaw destroyed.
Ultra. Duh.
Yeah, Kamikaze is almost down and out.
You were avoiding him because you thought I actually dropped our health. What kind of card that made?
Wow, holy.
Driver kill. Extra health awarded.
Holy crap, knocked Reaper up in the air. Get it.
Special weapon available.
There's still 10.
Oh, I had to detonate that. Okay.
Get him! Going on the train track.
Right. What was the health? But it's, yeah, I can't get that. You're not?
What?
Huh? Oh, it was a train?
We just avoided that?
Oh, okay. Oh, you passed me. Wow. That axle.
Axle destroyed. Special weapon back online.
Oh shoot. Mom, run! Run! Hey, you're not running?
I'm running, I'm running. We gotta get back up to the top.
I need a health truck.
Okay, here we go. It's a health truck.
Okay, that's what I need.
Vehicle health restored.
Oh my god, dude. This guy.
He just knocked me to the water. He knocked me out of the map.
Oh my god, fell back down again. Really? It's scary.
Special weapon is regenerated.
Hi. Hi.
Did you just miss that train?
The train missed me.
Ooh. Seriously?
Mega guns.
I don't know about so much about this guy.
Sweet tooth destroyed. 5 opponents.
Just killed like 3 opponents in like 1 minute.
Special weapon is regenerated. Driver kill. Extra health awarded. Roadkill destroyed. 3 opponents left. Driver killed. Extra health awarded.
See how good I'm doing, Daddy?
Oh, trained in a kill.
They see how good I'm doing with Crimson Fury? Pretty good with her, actually. And I've just played her for like 2 rounds. Right?
Special available.
Need help?
Destroyed. 2 opponents left.
2 left, man. 2 left. Come on, we got this. Nope, what are you going? It's all about ramming in this game. There's one more. Where is it?
Over here, Warhol.
Oh, I got shot. Shotty on you. Oh, he's gone. He dipped. Oh! Oh, come on, dude. Don't want to do that again, man. It takes so long for these battles.
Welcome to the
Stay out of
bright
the
lights of Metro Square, Miss Sparks.
Stay on top.
Oh man, yeah, this game is too punishing. Like it's really got the old-fashioned. That's how old games were. You die, you do it again. Oh, what would you do? What happens if you're gonna kill train? You're gonna live? You ever heard that commercial? In the left corner, we have a heavyweight train. The odds are not looking too good on the vehicle here, Bob. How many enemies we gotta kill? So many of them. Yeah, I don't like Junkyard Dog. He's pretty suspicious.
Special available.
Ooh, man. Seriously? Come on.
I'll stay as Crimson.
Yeah. Beat this level quick. I'm impatient.
You don't have anyone else.
What the heck happened?
All you have is Junkyard Dog, Meat Wagon, or Crimson Fury.
That's you.
You're leaving down here? How dare you? You're cruel. Hey, now they can go all going for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna get them on the fight here. Let me get some on. I'm dead. Oh, Darkseid's almost dead. Okay. Oh no! Go! Get the propeller, spin it again! Spin it, spin it, spin it! Where'd Darkseid go? Darkseid. Darkseid. Focus, see one enemy at a time. Ooh! I love how the AI just shoots so well, ground, air, it don't bother me.
Special weapon available.
Like the Darkseid. Dude. Sweet tooth, man. What do all that? Plays, I'm not gonna do any of that. Right.
Special available.
Dude, down. for you. I gotta give you a couple. Wow! Ooh, you showed me pretty good mode on it.
Wow, dark side.
Find some health or visit a garage to change your vehicle.
This guy's screwing me up.
Special available.
Alright, we need to take out some of these enemies. Hey, look at this guy just forever shooting behind him.
Left. Driver kill. Extra health
Daddy Roadkill thought he got away. I kept shooting. I chased right after him.
Right. Oh, you... Yeah, I got it and accepted it. Wait, what? On PlayStation? I see your friend request, dude. There you go. There you go, Gem. Oh, Vermin, time to lose that health.
Special weapon is regenerated.
Ah, get up! Get up! What the heck, yo?
Wow, the truck just stopped freaking Robo from killing me. Thanks, truck.
Oh, let's get it in, guys. We got this. Come on.
Road destroyed. 6 opponents left.
How much Kamikaze is still living?
Destroyed. Driver kill. Extra health awarded.
Oh. Look at Axel, he's such an axe. Get him! Down now.
Axel destroyed. 4 opponents.
Go, there you go.
Vermin's down.
This is the best area to take them down, actually.
Not for me!
How's your health? Your health is good? You're in the ice, too. That's why I said they can't move too good here. I'm gonna freeze him. There's health on that part. Behind you.
Special
So I think better grab it before he does. See it? He's messing with you.
Warhol.
Dog.
They just grabbed the health right behind.
Let's see how he handles this.
Death warrant.
Oh, okay, that one needs to go. What is health?
Destroyed.
I'm good. I already got lots of health.
Okay.
I'm gonna kill Kamikaze. He's been at the lowest health and been surviving this whole time. Not anymore.
Kamikaze destroyed. 1 enemy remains.
There is one. There remains.
Special weapon available.
Get him!
You saw how much you saw how many abilities I did on him? I went.
We did it. We did it. We did it.
We got Juggernaut. We got Juggernaut.
Oh yeah. What time?
You've unlocked Juggernaut. They at least made it easier to like get
That's true.
by doing it.
Well, how many missions do we have left? Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah, I told you 3.
Don't start that one yet, guys. Give me one moment.
We got 3 left. We completed it in like 2 episodes.
We can beat it in time. What's this one anyway? What was it? Checkpoint race? Oh god. Well, maybe it's just a regular one.
Ready? Crimson Fury.
To do it, when you go Brimstone, we're gonna go Kamikaze. Next fastest.
Crimson Fury's the first.
Cookie
Wow,
sounds
looks
great.
You are very close to your goal, Miss Sparks. Diesel City holds your next challenge. A race against your fellow contestants. Hit each checkpoint in order to get closer to the finish line. But the final checkpoint is moving. To keep it interesting, every vehicle, including yours, has an armed bomb hidden inside of it. Hit the final explosive checkpoint to set off the bombs on your enemies and destroy them all.
Okay.
3,
Final checkpoint to set off the bomb for all the enemies. Here we go.
1. Checkpoint. Check.
Oh!
There's another Crimson Fury.
Checkpoint.
Ah. I don't like Kamikaze's driving.
Checkpoint.
I don't know if they're attacking each other. So maybe
Oh.
it's just a regular race.
Another Kamikaze? Really? No, it's definitely.
I'm confused. I'm lost.
I am too, man. I don't even know. I hate these. I don't like the races. I don't know why. I don't dig them too much. Kinda, eh.
Hey, check.
Well, you're first. No, Roadkill's first place. We're both last, dude. Yeah, the driving in this game's all jacked up. I don't know what. There's a lot of health in this level, though.
That's a bad sign. No, it's up there. I just don't know how to get to it. I see you.
Come on, dude, face straight. Dang. I hate I hate these fast cars. Like, yeah, they handle decent. It's just they drive like crap. Like, look at this. Like what is this? Yeah, he can do 360 like this, but jeez. It's either you turn too less or too much.
Checkpoint.
All right, man. Did you get it?
Checkpoint bonus. Energy recharge.
What the heck are they in the map? Oh, yeah, I can't find them. I'm out of turbo too. Yeah, I see it now. I'm coming. Yeah, there we go.
You're all the way over there.
Checkpoint bonus. Turbo recharge.
Goodness.
Checkpoint.
Take them out, but never mind.
Checkpoint. Checkpoint. Checkpoint.
Here? Really?
Checkpoint bonus. Energy recharge.
Oh my god, man.
Checkpoint. Checkpoint. Enemy has
Wow.
used the detonator first.
Enemy vehicle activated bomb, you lose.
Yeah, first place. You gotta be first place. They activated the bomb first. Okay, well, let's show this again.
This is harder because it's a bigger city.
Yeah,
You're
it's
very
too
close
confusing, man. There's too much going on.
The first time we knew where to go.
Too many AI. I don't like that. All right, just
2, 1. Checkpoint.
look at this. I'll fly out the map.
Checkpoint.
Whoa! Dang!
Turbo recharge.
Look at this. I'm all over the place. Stop it.
Checkpoint. Checkpoint bonus. Energy recharge. Special available. Checkpoint.
Gosh, move. Look at these guys, and then they bounce me around. I can't even get. Seriously, now I can't get up. So dumb, man. Dude, it's up to you, bro. Oh, I'm getting aggravated with this. They're not even racing fast, so it ain't even about speed in this match.
Special available.
Boy. Ah, dude. Yeah, I can't do it with this. They're gonna be first. What place are you in? We lost. I ain't gonna waste your time with that. Let's pick something. I'm gonna pick somebody a little different. It ain't about speed, bro. Because honestly, like, I don't like when they tap me and I fly off the next lane. Like, nah, he's too tappy. Like,
Someone a little bit quick. Yes, someone. Def one, perfect.
well, yeah, Grimson Furry, and the other one, he was like beast mode.
Yeah. Kamikaze and Crimson Fury were beast.
All right, so robots. I need somebody with special to do damage, though. I'm gonna just go sweet to this. You're gonna win the race. I'm gonna do damage to them. We have to work together on this.
What if we kill all of them?
Oh well.
We win.
Yeah.
You are very close to your goal, Mr.
Let's do this again.
2.
I'm over here.
1.
But yet they all start off with speed in them. Wow, they tapped me though.
Checkpoint bonus. Turbo recharge. Checkpoint.
Ooh. Yeah, at least I'm not getting knocked off.
Energy recharge. Checkpoint. Special weapon available.
Really, dude?
Checkpoint.
Dude, turn! Go again with this in your last place. I don't like these races. I don't like any of them.
Hey, after we do this race, it's just the boss.
After we do this race, it's time for you to get off.
Right, it's the boss. Then I'm just gonna do Crimson.
Oh, it tells you their abilities right there. Flamethrower, Shockwave. I'll try and Crimson. I think what I'm gonna do this time, I should go with buckets. Go for it, guys. Well, time
Really?
oh man, I go to bed. It is.
You have to aim.
It's gonna be in this race forever, no boss for you.
Daddy,
It feels that way.
Daddy, that means you have to stop in the middle of the race.
1.
Windows.
Checkpoint bonus. Turbo recharge. Checkpoint.
Get out of my way!
Checkpoint bonus. Health recharge.
God.
Checkpoint bonus.
Shut up.
Energy recharge. Checkpoint.
Oh my God. Oh my god, go the other way, dude. Always that happens. I hate the steering in this game. It's so gooey.
Yeah, you're
Come on, go.
You're second.
How? Come on, I keep going off the track. Eat this. No, I'm fourth now.
Checkpoint.
Oh my god, dear geez Louise.
Checkpoint. Checkpoint.
I don't like this. Look at that. I'm running up wall, side wall. Oh my god.
Checkpoint bonus. Energy recharge.
Oh my, really?
Checkpoint.
Now I touched it? Okay. I don't like these races. Like, I don't like any of them.
Special weapon
I
back.
don't know which way I was to go.
Double down.
Checkpoint.
Stupid.
It's up to you now.
Hey, just at least fight the people.
Checkpoint.
I'm trying, man.
I'm gonna get the first two, okay?
Dude!
Checkpoint.
Checkpoint. Where's the next one? I'll see it. Wow, behind me. Wow. And it's up top. I don't like this, man. This is so idiotic. I gotta get back up top somehow. There's no way up there. Oh my god. I can't just shoot the damn thing? So dumb. Where is it? On the freaking plane. Really?
Available.
Dude, I'm done. I'm done.
No, you're not.
Yeah, but look where it's at. I can't. I gotta go this way. So stupid.
Enemy has reached the detonator.
Yeah, I gotta go on that freaking plane. I'll do this level another. After I lose enough, I always rage quit. Guys, give me.
I thought we were gonna finish this in 2 episodes. That all
you know what?
a rage quit.
Yeah, well, we could have, but I can't do it myself. Not on co-op. All right, hold on. And I hate these races. Like, why is it so hard? I don't even like getting so mad. This game's driving me off the wall. Jeez, I'm getting more mad on this than I do on Warzone. And it's the AI. They cheat, man. It's such a cheap tactic that they use here.
Next challenge. A race against your fellow contestants.
It's just the racetrack is all over the place. Like I can't.
In order to get
Cars
closer to the
smack you off the road. You get blown up, shot, this, that.
final checkpoint.
Then you miss the checkpoint. You got to do a U-turn. There's no way to get back on. You got to go all the way around the world.
Every vehicle, including yours, has an armed bomb.
3, 2, 1.
I'm not gonna go too fast. I'm just gonna drive right over. I can't do this on the split screen. That's my problem, man. Split screen is hard.
Checkpoint bonus. Energy recharge.
Move.
Checkpoint bonus.
Get the hell off of me!
Checkpoint. Checkpoint bonus.
Of course I missed.
Recharge.
Oh my god.
Checkpoint. Checkpoint.
I don't like this at all.
Checkpoint.
I'm done. I got 0 tolerance for this.
Checkpoint.
Look at this. So stupid. No, I can bounce around the map, but I can't just go up a hill. I'll bounce around, no problem. Good 4th place, man. Just pay attention, stay focused.
Checkpoint.
Look at this. I'm always passing it.
Checkpoint. Checkpoint bonus. Energy recharge. Checkpoint.
I don't like this. Like, look at the. Oh my god.
Recharge. Checkpoint. 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 Checkpoint.
Wow. See, that's what I'm talking about, man. I'm not going all the way back up there. Oh, it's all the way up there.
I just missed it.
Oh, it's you, bro. Just race. Go for the kills.
Checkpoint. Checkpoint bonus. Turbo recharge.
I love how the AI are like the most perfect freaking drivers.
Checkpoint.
Get out of my way! Stop!
Lost anyway. You're 7%.
I fell down.
You're with me now. That's why I said once you fall, you're doomed. Keep going. Of course, he disappeared.
Oh wait, no, the checkpoint's down here.
Get it, go. You're 7th place. Get back in the race.
Energy recharge.
Just go get the checkpoints. Look at your map.
Oh, it's all there.
The blue one. You see the one?
Yeah.
Dude, you're the only one that can win right now. My checkpoint's in the freaking in the sky. I'm not going back up there. Freaking far away, man.
Checkpoint.
Go.
Checkpoint bonus. Health.
Taking out the enemies so that we.
Enemy has
Oh
reached
my
the
god.
detonator first. You are dead.
We're done. I got no patience for this.
Wait.
What?
Wait, I want to choose Crimson Fury.
No, I'm not doing it again. All right, guys. Check my activity feed, see how we're looking here real quick. It looks like see cheers, donations. Going on right now. All right, guys. I'm gonna end this real quick, and then you know, we might have possibly come back. We'll see. Let me calm down and relax real quick. See how I feel. Right now, I need to take a quick cooler real quick, guys. Yeah, we're so close, bro. But you know what?